What's up, Fighter? Fightman64 here, and welcome back to another Mario Kart track tier list video. Last time we took on the most overrated Mario Kart game of all time, in my personal opinion, Mario Kart Wii, and ranked all the Nitro track and the Retro track based on which track were from best to worst. And so far, on our recap from the last two tier list videos, both Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Wii got more praises on the Nitro track than they did with the Retro track. Will that same be said for Mario Kart 7, which is what our today's topic is going to be? Or will the Retro track be better than the Nitro track this time around? How memorable will the Nitro track be, as well as the Retro? Well, we're going to be finding out today by ranking both the Nitro tracks and the Retro tracks of Mario Kart 7 from best to worst. So, that's what we're going to be doing today, for this month of August. So, you guys know the drill. Before we begin, if y'all could do me a huge favor and push that like button on this video, I would really appreciate it. And also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button today if you are not a subscriber already, because we still got a lot of you watching my videos as a non-subscriber, and if you are one of them, do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button today and let's reach that next goal of 600 subs. And if you enjoy gaming content such as this one, hit the notification bell today as well before you leave. So, 32 tracks to rank once again, 16 Nitros and 16 Retros. And we got 5 categories we're looking at this time around. Well, you guys know what the top one is. SR track that I consider to be my all-time favorites in Mario Kart 7. Tracks that are very much more memorable for me, for whatever reason I might give. A are tracks that I do love, but don't consider them top contenders for favorites. B are tracks that I do think is decent and I like them pretty well. C for tracks that I don't care for. And then D are tracks that I either dislike or hate. Basically, ones that leaves a weak impact. Looking at these tracks now, I think most of them are going to get pretty good praises, but there are some that are going to be bad. So, with that being said, I think it's time for us to begin our countdown for Mario Kart 7 track tier list video and rank them. Leading off the Mario Kart 7 track tier list is a terrible track named Toad Circuit. Yeah, I think this is going to start on a sour note this time around. So, Toad Circuit. Honestly, I don't understand why Toad Circuit got a remake for Tour and 8 Deluxe as a part of the Booster Corps pack. So, if any of you guys know me and my hatred for Toad, this should be no surprise to you to see that Toad Circuit landed at the bottom of the tier. The reason for that is not only that, but it's just not an exciting track to race on. Basically, you got some Toad blimps that you're looking at as you're driving across the track. There's like a little ramp thing where you can glide off of, which, by the way, gliders were added into Mario Kart 7 and not just vehicle parts. And yeah, this is the first game that introduced glide ramps. And to me, for Toad Circuit, it's nice for the most part, but it's just a track that I find to be the least memorable. And why they brought it to Tour and 8 Deluxe, I will never understand. Toad Circuit deserves to be in D tier. Like, I'd be surprised if anybody thinks this track is great, because it's boring to race on. And it brings nothing new to the table in the remake, which is why Toad Circuit is going to be at D tier. And that same can about be said for Daisy Hill. Yet another boring track to race on. And it's not just because I don't like Daisy. I mean, Daisy I still think is annoying, but we're not talking about the character Daisy. We're talking about the track. Basically, with Daisy Hill is that you have ghosts behaving like obstacles, much like you do see with cows in Moon Metal. But yeah, the ghosts are very easy to avoid for the most part. There's like a little jump section, one off to the left side and one off the bridge, and you're pretty much flying to the hot air balloon and to the windmills. It's a short track like Toad Circuit, but it's nothing too exciting. So yeah, both Toad Circuit and Daisy Hill are going to be starting this tier list off on a sour note. Will that same be said for Cheep Cheep Lagoon, however? Not really. I don't quite see this as a D tier, but it's like C minus for me. Just to say. Now, as much as I do like beach-related theme or underwater theme, Cheep Cheep Lagoon doesn't do it for me. Also, quick note. Cheep Cheep Lagoon is the first track to feature underwater sections, since we cannot do underwater on any other Mario Kart game until 7. So, the problem with Cheep Cheep Lagoon is that you're pretty much spending your time underwater for the most part. There's like seaweed that's floating in the air, there's Cheep Cheep that's just swimming around, and I think crabs are there. I have to look it up. I also want to apologize if I'm a little rusty on memory for Mario Kart 7, because it's been like years since I last played Mario Kart 7. Because I had to look up video for that and look at the track design and the overall layout of it. There's some I do remember, but then there's some I do not remember. But all I can say is Cheep Cheep Lagoon, it didn't bring too much excitement, but I don't think it's as worse as Toad Circuit and Daisy Hill. So, Cheep Cheep Lagoon is going to be at a C tier, at least a C minus. And the next track coming up is probably what I think is the best. This one I probably think is the best one of the 4 in the Mushroom Cup for Mario Kart 7, Shy Guy Bazaar. Now, some people may disagree with me, some people may not, but I think I'm going to put Shy Guy Bazaar in at least a B tier. So, Shy Guy Bazaar. Basically what this track is that there's like a bunch of charts laying around. You're like driving through like a Arabian market. There's like a little ramp that you can take on, and then there's like those jump sections that you're supposed to do tricks on, and then there's like a little glide ramp where you fly through the track and watch the Shy Guy ride on magic carpet as well. I kind of like Shy Guy Bazaar pretty well. I don't consider it a top consider for favorite though. And I guess part of the reason why I like Shy Guy Bazaar a bit is because it reminds me of Aladdin, per se, which is a great Disney movie, by the way. I suggest you guys watch that. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool that Shy Guy would live in an Arabic city, because it kind of features an Aladdin-like vibe pretty well. So yeah, Shy Guy Bazaar is going to be at B. So far, no S tier or A tier so far, but next track we have is a reference from a certain game that came out in Wii. Somewhere along Wahoo Island is Wahoo Loop, which is the name of this track. And honestly, I think Wahoo Loop does pretty well. So, for those who don't know, Wii Sport Resort takes place on Wahoo Island, and there's like 2 tracks that does feature Wahoo Island, and Wahoo Loop is one of them. Someone's probably gonna try to correct me on the saying, but whatever. So yeah, Woohoo Loop is supposed to be referenced off of Woohoo Island from Wii Sport Resort, and this is the first section-based track where you have to go to like certain part of the section and drive around. There's cars that you gotta deal with, famous locations that you can find in Wii Sport Resort. I think Woohoo Loop does it pretty well. Now, do I consider this the best? No. But there is one other track that does relate to Woohoo Island, but we'll get to that later. But for now, Woohoo Loop is going to stay in A tier. Next, we have Mario Circuit Mario Kart 7. Now, Mario Kart Circuit. For most of the Mario Kart Circuit I've ranked, from the first game to where we are now, they all either been hit or miss for me. But for me, for this Mario Circuit, I think this is more of an average track than anything. I don't really see this as a C tier because I do see some creativity in Mario Circuit. Basically, what you're dealing with is, well, there's not much hazards going around aside from the Goombas. But what's cool about Mario Circuit is that you can drive inside of Peach's castle, which is what no other Mario Circuit have done up to that point. You also got the little blowholes on the pipe which will lift you up in the air after you get off the glide ramp. And there's like a little pipe which is like a reference to Mario Raceway. There's cherry blossom that fall from the tree as you approach Peach's castle through the entryway. It's pretty creative, if you ask me. Almost close to being the best Mario Circuit, if I'm being frankly honest. But I gotta give this a B tier. It was A-worthy, but I don't find this too memorable. Maybe it's your favorite, but I really think this track is just average. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Next we have Music Park. Ah, yes, Music Park. Music Park is awesome. I love Music Park so much, and I believe this is one of the best Nitro tracks ever. Why do I say that? Well, their musical instruments around the track. You're playing piano, watching the head bobbing to the music. You're playing the, I believe it's xylophone or whatever those things were called, where you do like that little swerve thing. It's the one right where you're past the piranha plants and stuff. But yeah, basically you're pretty much playing instruments and playing along with the music as you drive across the track. There's also like bouncing music notes, which will lift you up in the air. You can also get squished by those big musical notes, by the way. There's also like a little drum thing that you can use for a shortcut. Music Park is a fun time, and I'm very glad that they decided to bring this to Mario Kart 8 on the base game. And Deluxe, too, also. Music Park is a blast to play, and I honestly could not see why anyone would put Music Park at a low ranking. Because Music Park is awesome, man, and it's gotta be one of the best tracks. I mean, as someone who loves to sing personally, like listening to guitar or playing the piano and that stuff, I have to put Music Park in S, because it represents music and the track very well. It is 10 out of 10 track. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, alright, so we got our first S tier rank of a track. But now we have Rock Mountain. Rock Mountain. Now, if you guys remember me ranking Rock Mountain when I was doing the booster course path for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you'll notice I played Rock Mountain in A. But does it compare well with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe over 7? Well, not really. No. Rock Mountain. Basically, what you're dealing with is you're going up a mountain and then going down after you take a glide ramp. There's also a little pipe blowhole that you can use while you're flying in the air. In fact, there's 2 glide ramps, and there's also a falling boulder as you climb up the mountain at the very end of the section. It's alright for the most part, but I do like this track pretty well. But I don't think it's as memorable as some of the other tracks that we're about to get to. This one, I think I'll give this one a B tier. I may have to reconsider my ranking for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Path, but whatever. Anyway, Flower Cup is done, and now we get to the Star Cup, and the next one up is Piranha Plant Fly, which is another memorable track for me. I easily gotta give this an S tier. Piranha Plant Slide, like Music Park, it's a fun time. It's like going down a water park or something. Like you're going to Slitterbond or whatever. Basically, what Piranha Plant Slide is that, well, you're pretty much riding in the water stream for the most part, dodging Piranha Plant and driving over blocks and that stuff. There's a little underwater section midway through the track, and then there's a little glide section after the underwater. It's a fun time for Piranha Plant Slide. And there's also cardboard Goombas and grass, which is basically a reference to Super Mario 3D Land. It's a fun time with Piranha Plant Slide. I just enjoy it, man. And like Music Park, I'm glad they brought this back in Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe. But anyway, moving on. Wario Shipyard is the next one up, and this one's pretty solid. Basically, so for this one, you're driving around a shipwreck. There's a little blowhole that'll push you to the side. There's some junction that you can take, and yeah. I don't have much to say for Wario Shipyard, but what I can confirm is that this one's at least getting an A. I don't find this S worthy, to be honest, but it's up there. Neo Bowser City. Neo Bowser City. I actually do love this track. Now, some people might not be too big a fan for Neo Bowser City, but me personally, I think this one's pretty good. I mean, it gives you a challenge. So, what Neo Bowser City is that, well, it's raining while you're driving around the track. There's some tricky turns here and there where you gotta make those sharp turns. There's also water poles that you gotta worry about, and a little liftoff thing, and the airship got a fan blowing thing to the left side where the finish line is. Yeah. Neo Bowser City is another iconic track. Now, I know this is not Bowser's Castle, and This might be controversial, but I gotta put this to A. It is close to S though, that'll say much. And now we finally get to the second part of Woohoo Island, Maka Woohoo, which happened during the sunset time. And this is the one where you drive through a cavern and you drive through a castle and like Woohoo Loop, it's a base section. And it does pretty well with it. Excuse me for a little hiccup there. Maka Wahoo. I think this is much better than what Woohoo Loop had. And like I said, there's like a cavern that you drive on. You can go to the castle if you wish to. And there's like boulder rocks that you gotta watch out for. And the best thing of them all, the glide ramp at the finish. And when you get to the end of the track, you're pretty much just going around in a circle until everyone has finished the race. Pretty much skydiving to the finish, in other words. Sorry if I paused a little bit. I was just thinking about what I had to say. But Maka Wahoo, this is yet another one that's gonna get an S tier for me, because Maka Wahoo I think is better than Wahoo Loop. But both of the Wahoo Island is pretty memorable. Anyway, Star Cup is done, and now we get on to the Special Cup. And next on up is DK Jungle, which later made a return on Mario Kart 8 in the base game. So, Donkey Kong Jungle. This is based off of Donkey Kong Country Return. You have like the little cheeky guy that move from side to side, much like how a Goomba would do. There's also like a giant flower at the beginning of the track before them. There's a takeoff that you can find if you know where the shortcut is. A banana that flows and like jumps and that stuff. It basically resembles DK Jungle pretty well. And I'm gonna give this probably an A tier. This one's pretty fun, man. I enjoy it. But what about Rosalina's Ice World, though? Well, this one is more of a hit and miss for me. So, Rosalina's Ice World. For those who don't know Rosalina, she comes from Super Mario Galaxy. And if you can't tell from the background, that right there is the observatory. Her comic observatory. Basically, what you're doing is you're driving around the ice. There's like half pipes that you could do, tricky turn, and you're dealing with ice physics, of course. Also penguins. Now, Rosalina's Ice World, I'm not actually a big fan of this track, but I do think it does give a pretty good challenge. But overall, it's alright, I guess. I'm not gonna put this a C, by the way. It's just that the challenge with Rosalina Ice World can be a bit too much for me. That's all I'm gonna say. I guess I'll put this ahead of Mario Circuit. But, yeah. Anyway. This is getting really hard for me to say what I need to say for, like, the Nitro track. But we're almost done with it, don't worry. Anyway, next up we have the 3DS version of Bowser's Castle. 3DS Bowser's Castle. I kind of have a mixed feeling for this one. Because there is just some physics I don't understand. I'm not saying this is a bad track per se. It's just that I don't find this Bowser Castle to be memorable. But do I think it's better than DS Bowser Castle? Absolutely. But between this and Neo Bowser City, I think Neo Bowser City does better. So there's a bunch of junction for Bowser's Castle. There's like a little spinning wheel thing, and then there's like lava that's flowing through the underwater, which honestly makes no sense to me. And then there's like a little glide section at the end where you can choose whatever path you want. That's really about it. This one's gonna get a high B for me. I don't find this Bowser Castle to be all that memorable like some of the other ones that we covered so far. But what is very memorable is 3DS Rainbow Road. This is easily gonna get an S tier for how awesome the track is in general. So, Rainbow Road, this takes place in space, as one would expect. First, you're driving on a planet that looks like Saturn. You're driving on a moon, and there's like chain jump balls there. There's like some boost panels and some jumps, and there's a lot going on with Rainbow Road. It's a blast to play, and between 3DS and Wii Rainbow Road, I think 3DS Rainbow Road is way better than Wii Rainbow Road. I know Wii stands are gonna probably be picking on me after this, but really, I hear a lot of praise about Wii Rainbow Road, and I personally, in my opinion, prefer 3DS Rainbow Road over Wii. Now, if there's one thing I wish 3DS Rainbow Road didn't do, it make it section-based. But even if it wasn't section-based, it still would have been a fun track for the most part. So, yeah. Only 3 bad tracks so far, but or 3 tracks that were either mid or just weak. But now it's time to see if the retro track can do any better than what the Nitro track had in store for us. And the first one up is N64 Luigi Raceway from Mario Kart 64. Yeah, Luigi Raceway really wasn't all that memorable. Basically, the only changes that Luigi Raceway undergoes is the outer bank of where you can take the dash boost. Doesn't really help you that much, but it's there. Yeah, I gotta put this to D tier. I know I put this at a pretty high rank in 64, but this one just doesn't do it for me. Basic track, just like Toad Circuit, and there's nothing really exciting going on with this one. Starting on a sour note again for the first track, but whatever. Next we have Super Circus Bowser Castle 1. Now, if you guys remember me ranking Bowser Castle 1, you'll notice I ranked it pretty high last time. But can I say the same for Bowser Castle 1? For Mario Kart 7? Well, that's a tough question, honestly. It's the same Bowser Castle that you know as always, and then there's like the little optional glide section that you can do. And there's one, I believe, in the middle of that jump section near the end. That's really about it. It's still a short track, but it does a little better, but not much. I think this is a solid B tier. But do I want to put this in ahead of the original Bowser Castle, or do I want to put it up front? Honestly, let's put this in. I'm gonna put this in the middle, between Shy Guy Bazaar and Rosalina's Ice World. It's just okayish at best. But what about Mushroom Gorge from Mario Kart Wii? Well, the track is still fun, and even with the change on the left side being a glider, it still can be a blast to play. Is it my favorite though? No, it isn't, but it's still fun. Mushrooms are still bouncy. Left side now have a glide ramp where the blue mushroom makes a glide. That's pretty much it. This one goes to A. Let's put this in, I guess I'll put it between, you know what, I'll just put it ahead of Woohoo Loop. I think that's a good place to put it. Anyway, next up we have DS Luigi Mansion. Luigi Mansion. I mean, I gotta do this. Luigi Mansion is an S tier track for me, in my personal opinion. Now, what is a bit of a disappointment is the fact that the portrait frame for portrait goes are now replaced with booths. But that's nothing for me to complain about, because what the booth does inside the portrait frame is that they try to pop out. Whenever you enter inside the mansion, there's glide section at a couple places. There's still Walking Dead trees, and yeah. DS Luigi Mansion is still a fun track, but I don't consider it my #1 favorite still. Might be boo bias, but whatever. And the music is still great. In fact, a lot of the retro track music, in my opinion, are still great. But then there's some that were hit and miss. Alright, so Shell Cup got pretty good praises this time. But let's see if the Banana Cup can get even a bigger praise. Next we have Nintendo 64 Koopa Troopa Beach. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you with Koopa Troopa Beach. I'm not really a big fan of the changes made. So, remember that shortcut that you could do in Mario Kart 64? Well, that got changed to a glide section where you have to go in the hole to do the shortcut. And I believe a mushroom's required to do this. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I do think this is a bit nerfed in my opinion. This one, still solid at best, but unfortunately, I gotta put this a C tier this time around. They butchered the track in my opinion. In fact, some of the 64 tracks, they didn't do too good a justice with those. Anyway, next we have Super Mario Kart Mario Circuit 2. Basically the same layout as last time, except at the very end is a jump glide ramp, which you can bounce off of little bounce thing on the left side, just so you don't fly out of bounds and that stuff. Unfortunately, there isn't a way to screw over your opponent this time like you could in the original, but I think it makes a little bit more sense for that to happen. I still prefer the original, but yeah. Mario Circuit 2. I'm gonna put this, I think this is probably gonna be on par with Koopa Troopa Beach. Anyway, next we have Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii. This track is overrated, but I don't think it's badly overrated as one other Wii track that we're going to be talking about a little later. Basically, you're still driving in the mall again, and they're meets that are still driving the car back and forth, where you gotta dodge them. And there's also a little glide ramp if you take the upper section when exiting out of the mall into the carpool. Basically that. It's still a very fun track for the most part, but yeah. And I think it does equally the same as its predecessor. So Coconut Mall is gonna get an A tier. Anyway, next is Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS. Well, if you guys know me, I'm gonna put Waluigi Pinball at the S tier rank. You guys, I think you guys know how much I love Waluigi Pinball, because it really is just a blast to play. It may not have shortcuts, but that don't take away from the fact that it's still a blast to play. You just still gotta watch out for the pinballs. There's that beginning section where it's now a gliding section, and that stuff plays just about as same as Mario Kart DS. So yeah, Waluigi Pinball and Luigi Mansion, they're both S tier rank in my opinion. There's also another candidate that could get S rank, but we'll get to that in a moment. Anyway, Banana Cup done, and now we move on to the Leaf Cup. And this time we have Calamari Desert from Mario Kart 64. Big changes for Calamari Desert is that there's a few glide ramps at a few places. One off to the very left side before you get to the train track, and then there's one in the middle of the train track. Now, I actually have a very special memory for Calamari Desert, and I think they did this just as equally as justice for the original Calamari Desert. Now, the thing I remember is that I went from last place to first place on like the final lap whenever I was still doing Mario Kart 7 online, and I was using Shy Guy during that time. And what was part of my item is that I had powerful item with me, which pretty much gave me the win. And Calamari Desert, I have to thank them for adding the gliding section, because if it weren't for that 2 gliding section, I would have not won that race. I got it, and for that reason, I think it's better than Koopa Troopa Beach and Luigi Raceway. Now, do I put this over Wario Shipyard? No, I think I'm going to put this at least an A. And I think the same's going to be said for DK Path. Now, DK Path, it still has my favorite theme track of them all, music-wise, and the track itself is still fun to play. But I don't find it to be my favorite track like I do with Waluigi Pinball and Luigi Mansion, because let's be real here, DS track were awesome in that game for Nitros. And they do it exceptionally well as retro track for 7, and I'm kind of glad they did that. You can also tell I'm having trouble speaking as I'm ranking. But yeah, another A tier track, Daisy Cruiser for Double Dash. I think this is the second one, or was it the first? I can't remember. But what I will say is Daily Cruiser. I think Daily Cruiser for 7 fixed a lot of his problem, because in the original there was one path. I think in 7 there was like 2 passes that you can take, and the swimming pool you can now go underwater. There's like table that slides across the cruiser, and there's also like a little underwater section if you were to take the cannon part. Now, while I'm not a big fan of Daily Cruiser, I do think this is way better than what Daily he'll have to offer, and therefore, for that reason, I'm gonna put this in at least the B tier. Let's put this ahead of Bowser Castle 1. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to put it. And next we have the most overrated track ever, in my opinion, Maple Treeway, making a return. And the big change is made is there's a glide jump section at the end, replacing the net that used to be there. Now, all I'm going to say is Maple Treeway, I still think this is a pretty fun track, but I still think it's way too overrated for what it is. You heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again. So many people love Mario Kart Wii, which is why I keep saying to you guys, Mario Kart Wii is overrated. And it is. Just saying. Regardless, though, I think the missing net being replaced with glider was a little bit of a downgrade, but not by much, though. Going to give this at least a B tier. And next we have the Lightning Cup. 4 more tracks to go, and next we have another Mario Kart Wii track, Koopa Cape. Major difference with Koopa Cape is that there's a gliding section for when you are about to enter the water slide section, and the lightning that you used to see in Wii, they're replaced by Cheep Cheep. And going inside the pipe is like going into an aquarium and that stuff. Now, if you guys know me, I loved Koopa Cape, and I still think it's one of my top favorite tracks in Mario Kart Wii, and for that reason, I'm going to give this a high... Do I want to put this in S? I kind of want to, but then again, I kind of don't. But if it doesn't, then it'll get at least a high A in front of Neo Bowser Castle. Or Neo Bowser City, I'm sorry. Neo Bowser City. But, yeah. Anyway, Double Dash Dino Chunkle. This is still a great track, even with the change of the glide ramp once again. But this one is for the shortcut, and you need a mushroom for that. Basically, you gotta worry about the dinos again with them stomping on their feet, and be careful about your maneuver on the bridge. That stuff. This is yet another A tier for me. Still fun as heck. Notice that I'm getting a lot of A's here, and believe me, this was intentional when I did that. But yeah, 2 more tracks left, and next we have DS Airship Fortress. It is Oh, that track is so goated. And it still is. Best retro track ever, in my opinion. The music is still awesome. The track is still awesome. And the track layout and how much fun I have, it is through the roof. And I mean, it is through the freaking roof. It's awesome. I mean, words cannot describe how much DS tracks have left an impact for me ever since playing Mario Kart DS. Because really, Mario Kart DS, I find that more underrated than overrated. But yeah, still gotta worry about the bullet bill flying at you, the wrench mold that pops out of the ground, the little burner thing that you see inside the airship, that stuff. And finally, to end things off, last but not least, is Super Mario Kart Rainbow Road. I'm so sick of Mario Kart Rainbow Road from Super Mario Kart being remade. I'm sorry. I gotta give this a D tier. I really still hate this track. Now, normally I would put this at S tier like I have with when I did the Super Mario Kart track tier list, but for Mario Kart 7, it's just so abysmal to rate on. It's a flat track with rainbow swamp that you got to deal with, and there are no ramps to save you whatsoever. No guardrails, is what I meant to say. Not ramps, guardrails. Yeah, I know someone's gonna be sparking fury at me for SNES Rainbow Road being at the bottom of the list, but I don't like Rainbow Road for SNES. It's too much of a challenge. So, there you go. That is my Mario Kart 7 track tier list. This was probably like the hardest one for me by far. Given how some of the Nitro tracks were very good, and then there was most of the retro track that did pretty well for ranking for the most part. And for that reason, retro track officially did much better than the Nitro track, in my personal opinion. But yeah, that's my tier list for you. So, rounding out the tier list, actually I'm gonna put Koopa Cape in S tier now that I think about it, because there's a lot of tracks that are good, as I said. Anyway, now let's conclude our countdown. So, in S tier, we have Music Park, DS Airship Fortress, Piranha Plant Slide, 3DS Rainbow Road, DS Waluigi Pinball, Maka Wahoo, DS Luigi's Mansion, and Wii's Koopa Cape. A tier, Double Dash Dino Jungle, Neo Bowser City, Wii's Mushroom Gorge, Wii Coconut Mall, Woohoo Loop, DK Jungle, Wario Shipyard, N64 Calamari Desert, and DS DK Pass. B tier, Wii Maple Treeway, 3DS Bowser Castle, Rock Mountain, Shy Guy Bazaar, Double Dash Daisy Cruiser, Super Circuit Bowser Castle 1, Rosalina's Ice World, and Mario Circuit. C tier, Mario Circuit 2, Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64, Koopa Troopa Beach, and Cheep Cheep Lagoon. And at the bottom of the well are 4 tracks. N64 Luigi Raceway, SNES Rainbow Road, Daisy Hill, and Toad Circuit. But anyway, like I said, this was a very tough one for me to rank. Probably the toughest one by far. And it's going to get even worse for me to rank them from here, because next time we do the base Mario Kart game and rank the Nitro tracks and the retro tracks, I think that one's going to be very interesting. So yeah, that's my tier list for Mario Kart 7. Tough one. But anyway, Thank you guys all so much for watching this, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to push that like button. Next time we'll take on the base Mario Kart 8 game and rank them, not including the booster core path. So, thank you guys for watching it, and this has been Fightman64. See you all. Have a good day. Game on, my friends, and take care. Goodbye, everybody, and stay safe. Adios.